Today on the Gilbert.K Show, we're going behind the scenes of Hollywood movie magic with Oscar and BAFTA-winning prosthetic artist Josh Weston, whose incredible work has helped bring productions like Wicked, Snow White, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and The Death of Robin Hood to life. From stunning character transformations to the art of practical effects, we're uncovering how some of cinema's most unforgettable moments are created. Let's give a big welcome to the one and only Josh Weston.
Hey, Josh, pleasure to have you on the show. How are you today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, hi. Okay, so Josh, take us back. What was your childhood like, and how did you get first into prosthetics and special effects makeup?
Well, through watching films I shouldn't have been watching, really, when I was growing up. I used to sneak out and come downstairs at night and watch kind of Hammer horror films that used to play a lot. Reruns and stuff, and one in particular was a film called Salem's Lot. Got me quite interested. The vampire creature got me quite interested, so I kind of got obsessed from there with monsters, really, and it just carried on, and it's never gone away. The obsession.
So, were your family in the business, or not at all?
No,
like your mom and dad.
No, nothing like that at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So for people watching who don't know, what exactly does a prosthetic artist do in movie TVs?
Basically, it's the augmentation of an actor's features. If we want to, let's say, if a production comes to me and say they want someone with a slightly larger nose or to make them look older, then we would provide a prosthetic makeup that we physically glue to their face in order to change their appearance. And that's basically what a prosthetic is.
Okay, great. And do you remember the very first time you created something and thought this could actually be my career?
Well, I got into kind of horror movies, as I said, at an early age, in a particular magazine called Fangoria, and I used to try and copy things from the magazines, but everything was covered in blood, so it was a little easier then to disguise things. But I guess in terms of things that I've made, I made my first ever sculpture was a rat's head that I made in my shed in my parents' house, and I chopped up a kitchen broom and I used that for whiskers. So that was my first memory of ever sculpting anything, and they never went away. So I just like to manipulate things in clay in my hands.
How old were you roughly when you did that?
I was about 10.
10 years old. Okay. And when you're at school, like, did you take any art classes or anything, sculpting maybe, or?
No, there wasn't really anything like that. I was sort of discouraged really at school because I used to bring these magazines, these Fangoria magazines, to school, and we used to just flick through them at break. And I got caught with these magazines once, and I got they made me not bring them in anymore, so they banned me from.
Oh my God!
That. They just thought it was maybe a little too much for an 11-year-old or to be looking at stuff, which is fair enough. But I always knew it was all fake, and we always knew it was all fake, and it was just rubber and blood and grease paint.
So were you always into movies? You said you growing up. So how do you get broken into the film and
from the transition? Really, I guess from watching these films, I built up a kind of a limited kind of portfolio, really. And there was a particular film called Hellraiser that came out, and I found out that particular film was all British, and it was, I think, it was all shot at Pinewood Studios. And then I just looking through these magazines again. Fangoria was my Bible, really, because it told you who did what. Image Animation, Bob Keane, Pinewood Studios. So I phoned them up. This was back in the day where you you just get put through. You didn't go through any kind of security or anything like that, or they didn't question you. So I phoned them up. And they said, yeah, just send some pictures along. So I had this reputation of just sending images and harassing people, really, for years. I did that for years. And then they invited me down so I could then physically show them my work. And for the most part, I didn't get any offers, didn't get any job offers. But it didn't stop me from just persisting. I think the more rejection I got, it fueled me to carry on. And then, going down to these studios and looking at what people did, and then getting an idea of what the kind of the level, and the level of quality of sculpting and mold making. Makeup. It was a lot different. So, I had to kind of change my game plan a little bit and forget the gory stuff and just try and sculpt. So it all became lessons in sculpting, really. So I did that on my own.
That's amazing. That's very inspiring. So we're going to take our first break and we're going to play a game, This or That. And it's a rapid fire game for the audience to get to know you. Practical effects or CGI?
Practical.
Horror or fantasy projects?
Fantasy.
2-hour makeup or 10-hour transformation?
2-hour makeup.
Sculpting by hand or digital design?
Hand by hand.
Film sets or TV productions?
Film sets.
Creatures or human transformations?
Human transformations.
Big budget or indie films? You can say both if it's
well, both really, because they both have, they're both very interesting projects to work on. The indie film, I'm working on one at the moment. It's you are restricted, but it's good to do these things, really.
Yeah. Silicone or foam prosthetics?
Silicone.
Early call times or night shoots?
Early call times.
And finally, winning awards or creating iconic characters?
Creating iconic characters.
Of course, yeah. Okay, our next segment, career, projects, and awards. You've built a company with over 25 years in the industry. What's been the key to staying relevant in such a fast-changing world?
Well, it is fast changing. We've got a lot of digital sculpting happening, ZBrush and different programs like that. So you've got to really be on top of it. Not necessarily you have to, swap over from physical sculpting to that. I mean, I do a little bit of digital sculpting, but not that much. I like to keep my hand in the actual physical making of things. So it's more tangible. Having something on a screen is okay, but you just I can't relate to it as well as something in front of me. But yeah. Sorry, what was the question again? I'm going off on.
No. We're saying what's been the key to staying relevant in such a fast changing world?
With everything you do, is you're trying to improve from a sculptural point of view. You're trying to improve your sculpting. So each job you do, it has to be better than the next one. So from a sculptural point of view, you have to try and improve every time and not sit back and think, well, this is what I can do, and that's my lot. But then again, obviously, from the digital side of things, it's always good. I like to hire people that solely do digital work, just so it mixes everything up and we can have a broad range of mixed mediums, which is really important. 3D work is quick, but the printing of things isn't quick, so there are setbacks. So you've got to, although you can sculpt something quickly digitally, you're not necessarily going to be able to produce it. And then you have other kind of issues with printing, and printing fails and things like that. But it's all part of the course, really. But yeah, it's just keeping on top of your printing elements, your scanning. We've decided now we've gone over to scanning actors as opposed to life casting. It's quicker. It's less stress on the actor. I mean, some people like it, some people don't. It's cleaner. But then again, as I said, digital work to produce a final print takes at least 38 hours to print ahead. So you have that time frame you've got to factor in. But I think that side of things is fantastic. Scanning, the scanners these days are great. So that's where the future is. I think scanning, printing, and if that gets even quicker, then that would be a great help, really.
Can you explain for the audience what when you say scanning, like, what does it help with the scanning? Just to get the measurements, is it, or
scanning is just to capture someone's facial features digitally and 100% accurately, depending on what scanner you use. We have a scanner called it's a Artec Space Spider. Picks up lots and lots of texture. So when you've taken your scan, it's then all the information is in the computer, and you've got quite a bit of process work to take that scan to then a cleaned up image so that you can then put it onto print.
Okay, great. So walk us through the process. How long does it really take to transform an actor using prosthetics? It depends on each film and each project, but roughly.
Yeah. If you're doing an old age makeup where you're changing, you're doing a full face makeup, and you were talking like a 6-week process, really, for me, because you've got your sculpting element as well as your design element as well. Your sculpting, you have to wait for approvals on things as well. And then mold making, every department has a certain amount of work that they need to do to produce the makeup. You can cut corners, but I don't. I like to have it quite regimented and good production going on. So 6 weeks is pretty much my minimum, but it does all depend on what it is.
Yeah. Okay, great. So on a project like Monarch Legacy of Monsters, what's the biggest challenge when creating creatures that feel real?
Well, with that, I was only involved with the prosthetic makeup of that one character, turning a kind of a 30-year-old guy into a 90-year-old guy. But then that was just pretty traditional. That was a traditional live cast, and then sculpting, molding, producing silicone pieces, and taking it to application. And for that job, we only took that to the makeup test, and then everything was then handed over to the Australian company, over to Jason Baird, who applied that makeup over in Australia, I think. But that was all, my only involvement with that was just sculpting the character.
So working on Wicked for Good, how do prosthetics help bring a magical world to life alongside costumes and VFX?
Well, I mean, that was really, we were referencing back to the original movie. So with the Scarecrow, which is the only character I was involved in, again, it's a full facial makeup, and it just needs to tie in with that storyline, to be honest. And we just tried to modernize the look a little of the sackcloth and the way it was sculpted and was designed. But we would try to keep it quite true to the original. With something like that. So even, we haven't really done anything that's not been done before.
Yeah. And with a film like Snow White, how do you balance staying true to the classic look while making it feel fresh for today's audience?
Well, with Snow White, we were told what we could and what we couldn't do. Sometimes you are. I wanted to go traditional. I wanted to do your kind of very witchy hook nose and your pointy chin and a
Yeah.
mole with a little bit of hair out of it and things like that. But it was rejected instantly. So we were told what was
Okay.
to be done with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've won major awards like the Oscars and BAFTA. What did that moment feel when your work was recognized at that level?
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. It still is amazing. Pinch yourself moment. I walk down into my kitchen every morning and see it, the Oscar and BAFTA there. It's amazing. And that won't go away. Yeah, incredible to be, for that to be recognized, especially a makeup like that, because you don't see many of those kind of looks. You get a lot of old age makeups, you get a lot of creaturey type things, but that particular look, I thought it was quite fresh, and yeah, I was really happy that it was. The marketing for it as well was pushed well, so that obviously helps. And it being on Willem Dafoe, who brought the makeup to life, really wouldn't have worked on anyone else, I don't think.
Yeah.
He had such a great face, and that makeup's quite. I mean, it's not a big makeup. It's actually quite small pieces, very small isolated pieces. It's just that we chose where to put these pieces in certain places just to try and push the look, a giant ear and a big chin and things like that. But, it was great to be recognized. And Nadia Stacey, she put me forward for that as makeup supervisor, and working alongside Mark Coulier as well. So yeah, all three of us, it was great achievement. Really happy with it.
Yeah. So after winning an Oscar or BAFTA, does it change the pressure or expectation on your future projects?
No, not pressure. Not for me. I just enjoy what I do. I love what I do. And as I say, each job you do, you try and make an improvement on the last one. So whatever comes in, it's, I'm grateful for whatever comes in anyway, but it's always a challenge. But no, I don't think about awards. I don't think about how I've got to, make this one better. In terms of an award, I don't really. It's not really on my mind.
It's all about the work. Yeah. So we're going to take a final break and we're going to play a game, True or False. And it's time to test some facts about your life and career. So true or false, prosthetics transformation can take over 8 hours depending on the project.
True.
True or false, actors always enjoy wearing prosthetics.
False.
True or false, prosthetics are only used in horror films.
False.
True or false, you need both art and science skills for prosthetic artistry.
False.
True or false, CGI has replaced prosthetics completely.
False.
True or false, prosthetics can change an actor's performance.
True.
And prosthetics, true or false, prosthetics can always be reused.
Ish. False. I'm going to say false.
And true or false, lighting affects how prosthetics look on camera.
True.
And true or false, you can learn prosthetics without school.
True.
And finally, winning an Oscar guarantees more work.
False.
We're going to move on to our final segment, Impact and Future. What's something about prosthetic work that audiences would be shocked to learn? Is there anything shocking about it, or?
Well, we use a lot of chemicals. There's a lot of nasty materials in this business that you really do need to have a respirator for, and wear protective clothing for, especially in the mold making department. Most of the stuff we use, until it's cured, it's not that safe. There's a lot of carcinogenic materials in this business. But that's just one thing you have to deal with. Fiberglass, for instance, is quite noxious. Epoxy resins are very noxious, and polyurethane foam, terrible stuff. But these are materials that we kind of need to use, but you have to be aware of what goes in them, and therefore you have to wear the appropriate clothing and respirators and protect eyewear. It's really, really important to be aware of all the chemicals.
For young creators watching, what skills should they focus on if they want to break into prosthetics or especially effects makeup?
I always say for people that want to actually make prosthetics, they really do need to hone in on their sculpting, because it's all in the sculpt. What we produce is obviously starts off with the sculpture, whether that's traditionally sculpted or it's done now on a computer. There are two separate skills, really, but learning to sculpt would be something that I would suggest, and learning to sculpt maybe a portrait, something realistic, no blood, no gore, nothing that will mask any of the work. If you're going to sculpt anything like something gory, it's got to be really anatomically correct, and I want to see a photograph of it before you put the blood on. Just to see the skills involved and the anatomy. But what we do is all about honing in on your anatomy and your sculpting. That's if you're wanting to make prosthetics. There are a lot of people that really just want to apply them. And then I would suggest you going to there are makeup schools you can go to, or you can learn off your own back. But a lot of people that just apply, and maybe they've gone to a makeup school, and they've got a qualification in hairdressing as well as straight makeup, fashion makeup, and they touch on prosthetics. But really, the prosthetic element, if you're applying, can be learned as you're going. But I think if you want to just to apply, get a good qualification in straight makeup and hair, if that's what interests you. If you want to make appliances, then it's all in the sculpture.
Okay, that's a great tip. Just a follow-up question. Is there a tip or recommendation, anything that you, other than you covered, that you wish somebody told you during your career?
Well, I have very, very antisocial hours we work. It's gotten better. Years ago, it was doing a lot of all-nighters and working around the clock just to get things on set. But yeah, it's something. It's long hours. It is long hours. And filming is very long as well. And then if you've got to add a long application on that, you have that to factor in your morning, and then you've got to take the makeup off at the end of the day as well. So you can be going into 16-hour days on a big production. And that's kind of standard, really, for prosthetic, if you're doing a big prosthetic makeup.
Yeah. Wow. So with CGI getting bigger every year, do you think practical prosthetics will always have a place in filmmaking? Yeah, I do, really. CGI is huge, and there is obviously the Marvel universe uses that in pretty much everything. But I think working side by side with CGI works really well. A combination always works really well. I don't think that'll go away. 100% CGI. It's I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you look at Jurassic Park, which was made in 1990, and some of the CGI that's absolutely mind blowing. It's fantastic.
And cut to now, and there's some CGI out there which just doesn't hold up like that did. You got to ask yourself, why is that? So, you know, yes, there's more CGI, but the quality of it is very inconsistent sometimes. Whether that's down to budgets, maybe down to budgets, time frames, but I don't think it'll ever replace. But I do think it works well as a combination, especially when doing like a blood gag or a makeup effect that you can't really achieve solely practically. Then having the CGI element is, it's great. I mean, I love CGI stuff. I think it works really well.
Yeah. So Josh, you've won Oscars, an Oscar, you've won a BAFTA, you've worked on big budget films and blockbuster films. Do you have any dream projects that you haven't done yet?
Dream
or you'd like
project.
to achieve, or something that you really would love to do.
Well, I'd love to have done the Elephant Man makeup's one makeup that I'd love to have done. There was talk of a remake of that, but I don't know if it will ever happen. But that is, Chris Tucker's work on that was fantastic. So that's something that would be great to do. But I'm really into character makeup, old age makeup, or I like to do prosthetic makeup where you don't know there's a makeup. No one knows it's a makeup. That's the best comment. You watch a film or you watch something, you don't know that the guy or the actress is wearing anything. So it's the real stuff that kind of interests me. The hardest stuff to do, but it's the most challenging. So that's kind of what interests me. I mean, I love creatures and stuff. But I like the challenge of making the skin just disappear and the piece disappear into the skin, and you just don't know where the edge is and where the skin starts and stops. So that's what kind of fuels me, really.
Yeah. And finally, are there any upcoming projects you can talk about that you're excited about?
Well, there's a couple. A film called The Death of Robin Hood, Hugh Jackman. That will be a bit of a different take on Robin Hood than what most people would expect. So that might be one to watch. It's an A24 production. I think it'll be really, really good. Some graphic stuff in that as well. And the new Spider-Man film. We did the new Spider-Man.
Excellent.
Can't really say much about it, so I don't want to spoil anything, but there might be some interesting characters in that will be ones for the fanboys, I think. And girls.
That's amazing. Josh, we're nearing the end of the show. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching. Josh Weston, everyone. Thank you, Josh. It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.